What's up, YouTube? Capital G here, checking out the brand new Fortune Fairy archetype that just got revealed. These are going to be released in the OCG's Collection Pack 19. I am almost certain that this translates into Battles of Legends for the TCG, so we should see these cards in July, unless I am mistaken. If you guys don't know, because maybe you didn't watch Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's, Fortune Fairies are basically the archetype that Carly played in the anime before she became a Dark Signer. Once she became a Dark Signer, she started using Fortune Ladies, and I kind of feel like Konami has been a little too faithful to the source material, because in the anime, Fortune Fairies were just god-awful. They were like really bad versions of Fortune Ladies, and it kind of seems like that is translated into the actual like physical card game as well with these cards. Anyways, let's go ahead and break them down regardless. The first one is Fortune Fairy N. This is a monster where the first and second effects are hard once per turn. The first effect says, and it's built into basically all of them, I guess you could say it's kind of their mechanic. When you draw this card, you can reveal this card, special summon this card from your hand. So this means that they do work off of the draw phase and card effects. If you hard draw for your draw phase, you get to special summon it, or if you play something like Dangers or Upstart Goblin or just anything of that sort, card destruction, whatever, they can all actually just special summon themselves. They are win effects, so they can technically miss timing, which kind of sucks. The second effect is kind of her unique effect. The second effect says if this card is special summoned from your hand, you can target one set card your opponent controls, destroy it. That effect cannot miss timing. I mean, that's okay, I guess. Like, you're really only looking to pop I would probably say spell and traps, because no one really sets monsters in 2019 Yu-Gi-Oh anymore. Like, no one's really setting monsters anymore, so you're basically just using this kind of as a way of popping your opponent's back row. The next one is Fortune Fairy Who. This is a monster with, again, a first and second effect that are hard once per turn, and the first effect is the same as the last card. If you draw it, you can special summon it. The second effect says if this card is special summoned from your hand, you can target one of your banished spellcaster monsters, add that card to your hand. So basically, I think this is supposed to synergize a little bit with Fortune Ladies. We know that Fortune Ladies as an archetype are all about banishing and then coming back and all that other good stuff. So, I mean, this card, I guess it can be kind of useful. Outside of like a couple of Fortune Lady cards, I don't know what else you'd really want to use this on. The Dark Fortune Fairy does have a banishing effect, so there is some natural synergy there, and the water one kinda can be used with it, but I honestly don't think you will. I'll go ahead and I'll cover the water one right now, just so you guys understand why I'm saying that. This is Fortune Fairy Sui, and its second effect is if this card is special summoned from the hand, you can target one other face-up monster, banish it until the standby phase of your next turn. So I guess technically you could banish your own monster and then summon it back with the win one, but why the fuck would you do that? That would just be like a huge waste of resources. Mainly, you're going to be using this effect on your opponent's monsters. That can actually be kind of useful for getting rid of one of your opponent's threats. It isn't actual like permanent removal. I mean, I'd be happier honestly if it was just like a bounce effect, because that's really good against like extra deck monsters. But even getting rid of one of your opponent's monsters temporarily is okay. It does only target face-up monsters, which, you know, it's kind of irrelevant because it works on all links. And again, no one really like sets cards or sets monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh anymore. So this one it's not terrible. It's okay. You can't use it really going first, but I think it's fine. The next one is the Dark Fortune Fairy. This is Fortune Fairy Anne. This is a monster where the second effect says if this card is special summoned from your hand, you can banish one spellcaster monster from your deck. So this is the one where the win one does actually have natural synergy with, because you can banish one of your other kind of like Fortune Fairies, and then maybe you can like summon that monster immediately. I think it actually works much better with like Fortune Lady monsters, because it just seems like they have more synergy with natural like banishing and coming back and stuff like that. I mean, really just outside of the win one, I don't really see that much of a use for this. Then we have the Fortune Fairy Chi. This is the Earth Fortune Fairy. Second effect is if this card is special summoned from the hand, you can have each player draw one card. So basically it's Dark World Dealings. I don't understand, especially considering that this is a level 6 monster, why I can't just draw a card. I really just hate giving my opponent a card in Yu-Gi-Oh! I do not like effects that let me draw and also let my opponent draw, unless it's something like One Day Apiece where I get this like really crazy no battle damage, or, you know, maybe cards like Chicken Game where, you know, I just get the draw at one point and my opponent doesn't doesn't get the draw until their turn. I don't know. I don't really think that that's, it just doesn't really feel like, it feels like an okay effect, but like usually when you're letting your opponent draw, you have to have like a powerful follow-up. What is the powerful follow-up for this archetype? In fact, to be honest, I'm not really even sensing a win condition for this archetype because all the damn monsters are 0 attack and 0 defense, and their levels are also staggered just like Fortune Ladies, but they don't even have the decency to make them, like their stats don't even go up like Fortune Ladies. Anyways, let's go over the 3 spell cards. The first one is Unacceptable Result. This is a quick play that says if you control a spellcaster monster, special summon one Fortune Lady monster from your hand. So this obviously gets a Fortune Lady out of your hand and it allows it to trigger its effect. Okay, that's fine. Obviously you would run that in this deck so that if you do happen to open with your Fortune Ladies, thus you can never trigger their effects, you do have the ability to get them out your hand. All right, that's not bad for the deck. I wish it did a little more. Maybe you could banish it, except the turn it was sent to like blow up a card, but I guess I'll take it. Anyways, we have Miracle Stone. This is their continuous spell card, and the first effect says you can only control 1 Miracle Stone. Second effect is spellcaster monsters you control gain 500 attack and defense for each Fortune Fairy monster you control with a different name. Thank goodness there's at least one way to buffer their stats, because how are you supposed to beat anybody with an entire archetype of 0 attack and 0 defense monsters? At least you have some way of gaining some stats now. The third effect says once per turn, when a attack is declared with a Fortune Fairy monster you control, you can draw 1 card. That is the best effect of this card. At least now you have multiple ways, or you have a way of drawing cards, and it doesn't have to be also giving your opponent a card. That effect is actually pretty nice in my opinion. It is a once per turn effect, which at least it can kind of pay for itself. The final Fortune Fairy spell is Luck Loan. It's a normal spell that has a hard once per turn on its effect. It says target 1 Fortune Fairy monster you control, special summon 1 spellcaster whose original level is 1 lower than that monster from your hand or deck. During your next turn after this card resolved, you cannot normal / special summon monsters except spellcaster monsters. That's actually not that big of a drawback. I actually wish that Konami would put that into other cards, where I get that you're locked in the spellcasters, but it's not technically until your next turn. I mean, this is okay. It's basically just kind of like a 1-for-1. It summons any of your other like Fortune Fairy cards from your deck. You also can summon ones from your hand, thus you can actually activate their effect. I mean, really, when I look at this archetype, I think that it is incredibly underwhelming. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I was really tempted to say that this stuff is honestly a waste of space, because it just doesn't really make sense to me. Like, not that Konami is printing the Fortune Fairies because they're from the anime, they just want to print them, I guess, at some point, and it kind of makes sense because you're giving Carly a bunch of support in Rising Rampage, but the stuff in Rising Rampage is so much better than any of this, it almost makes it completely redundant. Actually, no, it does make it completely redundant. Even Luck Loan, their kind of theme card that summons monsters from the deck, like Fortune Ladies is getting a card in Rising Rampage that does the same thing and is just better. So I don't really see like why you would even need to run this in Fortune Ladies, and God forbid, like you'd never want to run this as its own deck because it's just like god awful. But to me, this doesn't even improve Fortune Ladies as an archetype. So I do honestly think that this is just kind of like pack filler, and I mean, yeah, it'll honestly be like a for fun deck, but even for fun, I think that this is like super underwhelming. But maybe you guys think I'm being too negative. I think that this stuff is fucking terrible, to be honest. You guys let me know what you think of Fortune Fairies. It really feels just like the anime, where like they're so bad that Carly had to switch to a different deck after becoming a Dark Signer. Kind of feels the same way in real life. But whatever you guys think, leave it in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already, and turn on that notification bell for daily videos.